the principles I've listed are not empty, as can be seen by just listing some of the present governmental activities that cannot be justified in terms of these principles, even on a very broad and very generous interpretation of neighborhood effects and irresponsible individuals. Let me just give you a small list. For example, on these principles, there is absolutely no way in which you can justify the imposition of safety requirements on autos and motorcycles to protect the drivers of those vehicles. You can justify safety requirements to protect third parties, to protect pedestrians, to protect others, because in that case, you do have an effective third-party effect. But how can you justify safety requirements which are intended to protect the driver himself? If you think of John Stuart Mill's statement that the only purpose for which power can be rightfully exercised over any member of a civilized community against his will is to prevent harm to others, his own good, either physical or moral, is not a sufficient warrant. Indeed, I must say, I have long regarded the law various states have requiring motorcyclists to wear helmets as a kind of a litmus test of whether a person really believes in freedom or doesn't believe in freedom. If I am riding a motorcycle, I may be a fool and stupid not to wear a helmet to protect myself, but it's my life. What right does the state have to tell me that I must wear a helmet in order for my own good? Is not the right to commit suicide a basic human right? It's not one we would like to see exercised. Well, for some we would. But in general, it's not one we'd like to see exercised, and in general, we would certainly try to do our best to persuade any friend of ours not to exercise it. But when you come down to the ultimate point, how can we justify saying it is illegal to commit suicide on John Stuart Mill's grounds? I warn you that you must beware of the answer which you will be given, as I have been given when I have tried this on various times. And it's in a way a correct answer. It shows how wrong breeds wrong. Because the answer I have been given is that, well, now after all, you do have to require the helmet on a motorcyclist. Because when a motorcyclist spills himself on the road and spreads himself over the highway, he isn't really only hurting himself. A government ambulance will come to take him to a government hospital. He will be buried with a government subsidy. And his wife and children, if there are any, will thereafter be entitled to government welfare payments. And therefore, when the motorcyclist spreads himself over the road, he really is harming the rest of society and not merely himself. Well, you think about that proposition for a while and you can see what it leads to. What it says is that each of us is the property of the U.S. government, and that we each of us bear on our back a sign, "Property of the U.S. government, do not fold, mutilate, or spindle."